I went to the Alliance High School, please. And it was a beautiful place to be. But as a young boy, it was hard for me because I was one of those really creative people and I wanted to explore the world. And I went on about 5 suspensions. And I think the 6th one was an indefinite suspension. How many of you have ever been just out of school for suspensions? Suspensions are not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, it's really nice that all of you are healthy, you are well-adjusted teenagers, and that did not happen to you. But it happened to me. And thinking about it, if I had people who would have given me pointers in life, I think it would have turned out to be better. And this, first of all, is to give you hope. If you have a teenager who's disturbing you at home, they've probably not gone for 6 suspensions, and I am in church, give them time. They're going to come back. This is for any parent. And teenagers who are watching or listening to this, I know you're used to people just talking to parents and telling them, parents, if your teenager is at home and they're disturbing you, this is what you should do.
One of the things I regret is quitting the business I started right after high school. See, I did not come from a rich background, so I had to find ways to make money to pay for campus and life expenses. Nairobi. I was so good at it that in my 2nd year of campus, I was admitted into this prestigious fellowship called the Young African Leaders Initiative that was funded by Barack Obama and the US government. I was admitted into the business and entrepreneurship track. The business was booming. I had good profit margins, but somewhere along the way, my insecurities got to me. See, I thought my business was not as cool as the other people's businesses. Other people were selling like laptops, phones, and I felt like my business was not as cool. I was selling peanut butter. It was a very easy business. The numbers were really good, but nilikuwa feeling kama ni pesa chafu. I ended up giving up on that dream because of really, really stupid reasons. One, it was that insecurity. I thought that, oh man, I can't even blame this on the Shories, but I thought that girls would not like me if I said that's the kind of business I was doing. But it was legit and it was clean. It was fully owned by me and it was a good business. I could help the needy. I remember we do programs like feeding street kids and letting clothes for homeless people. I could do that with my profits and whatnot. But somewhere along the way, I lost focus. If you're a young person and you're into entrepreneurship, you're selling maybe mtumba or shoes or smokies or whatever, do not give up on that dream. Hakuna kitu kama pesa chafu. Pesa chafu ni ile pesa umeiba peke yake. Don't be like me. Don't be one of those people. Then you'll come to the internet to regret. I'm telling you this because I've seen a lot of my viewers are between 18 to 24, and that's around the time when we're booming with ideas. Don't listen to any naysayers. Just focus on your dream. Itajipa. We cannot show up to dialogue tables when majority of us are showing up on autopsy tables. It is an unfair thing for you to expect of the Kenyan youth to take this while everybody can have an opinion, but we're the ones who die.
In what forum would you like to elucidate what this liberation would look like? You can't be on the streets, just across the year.
We absolutely can. And one of the president's most obnoxious and bitter advisors keeps on talking about academic jargon. And I will address the people who are clamoring for academic jargon. They talk about the logical framework and the theory of change. Let me focus on the theory of change.
Wait, before you get into the theory of change.
No, we'll get into it.
let's hear from Mercy first.
Because
in a minute.
Okay, fine. Okay, have it.
Mercy, why not come to the negotiating table or the dialogue table, right? And say, first of all, we want accountability for the lives that were lost. That is one of the demands I've heard Mercy put across. What is so difficult, or isn't that the ideal situation?
We cannot show up to dialogue tables when majority of us are showing up on autopsy tables. It is an unfair thing for you to expect of the Kenyan youth to take this while lying down tree. We cannot show up to a dialogue table that has been organized by our oppressor. We will not show up to a place where there is...
So who do you want to organize it?
Again, we do not want dialogue. Our demands have been very simple. They do not need conversation, they only need action. If I say, for example, crack a war on graft, why do you still need to call me and ask me, what is this about? If I say, give us IDs, do not give us IDs at exorbitant fees, give us IDs at 100 shillings and we don't want them to expire. Why do we need a dialogue for that? If we say, reconstitute IEBC, we still want to call us to a table. When we say, let the police not kill us. Dialogue
Fair point. But did you listen to the president's speech? Was it on Wednesday?
Yes.
And he outlined several measures, in addition to measures he had announced prior. And he did talk about accountability for the lives lost and for those who've been injured across the board, even the businesses which were looted, right? He did talk about compensation. He talked about amendments to the Evidence Act that would enable corruption to be addressed, or rather corruption cases to be concluded within 6 months. He talked about enhancing witness protection as well as incentivizing whistleblowers. So he says, I have done my bit, give me time.
This is the same government that is talking to us about witness protection as if we do not know what it has done in the past? Is this the same government that is promising us a war on graft as though we do not know their dealings of the past and their dealings currently? Is this the same government that is promising us an acceleration of the conflict of interest bill as though they are not running an nepotocracy where they're trading with their own family members? Is this the same government? The thing we're saying is, those demands, we have never met him to make it to him. We have never said, outgoing President Ruto, please, these are our demands. He's found them somehow. And the things which we've consistently been saying on our social media have found out their way into his speeches. I can say verbatim where his speech quoted some of the things that the young people have said. So why do we need dialogue? All he needs to do is log onto his phone and say, hey, what is this person saying today? They're saying...
All right, fine. So he says he has heard you, Mercy, come in at this point. And you know, you saying outgoing President Ruto, you'll get into a lot of trouble. You mean serving President William Ruto. Mercy, he says he has heard you. What more do you want from the president?
This thing is issue-based. It is objective. It is not subjective.
Wait, so when we said, are you looking for an overnight solution? I mean, these things take time. William Ruto on Sunday said it is you now who are the dictators. You are holding the nation hostage. Kasmuel, your response.
There is no way he can call us dictators because he does not have the range to lecture us on dictatorship. Not once have we, in our peaceful exercising and dispensation of our civic duties, have we robbed, harmed, or killed anyone. There is nothing dictatorial about me demanding for basic human rights. I don't see it that way.
Mercy, there are those who've taken the position that better have a bad country than no country at all. And several times the example of the situation in Sudan has been cited. You want jobs? Right? How do you create jobs? Or if the environment is untenable, if every Tuesday and every Thursday business is at a standstill, we have criminals taking advantage and looting businesses?
Last week we were here and that situation of comparing us to Sudan when we ask for accountability was brought up. And again we said, when we pay tax, we are compared to Singapore. When we ask for accountability, we are compared to Sudan. Nurokanga during...
All right, both of you have said, let me just come in at that point. Both of you are saying this is not anti-government protests. But when people are chanting on the streets, they are saying, Ruto must go. We've seen jerseys that have written on the back, Ruto must go. Is that not anti-government protest?
No, it is anti-Rutoism. And Rutoism in this particular category is what this government stands for. This is not directed to a particular individual. Don't you dare think that we are saying we want to topple over our president. We're toppling over the entire presidency. We're saying if you cannot do or dispense whatever it is that you said you would do for the people, we want all of you gone. Because remember,
all right, let me ask you to press pause.
Yes, right.
How they're governing without a government, I don't know about that. Mercy, I know you have a point. But allow me, and Warungu, sorry, I did not mean to leave you out of the conversation.
We do not need peace in this country.
What?
We don't need peace right now. We've never needed peace for us to change this governance problem. Because we can have peace when there is corruption. We can have peace in the face of injustice.
Wait, so what are you calling for exactly?
We can have peace when our women are getting raped. What we are calling for is liberation. Because we cannot have peace until all of us are equal. Every other body is allowed to call for national dialogue, apart from the people who've actually lost their lives. The majority of the population has gone on the streets and said, listen, the country as it is currently not working for us. And everybody but the majority of the country is allowed to have an opinion. Whenever we are trying to exercise our democratic rights, everybody can have an opinion, but we're the ones who die.
In what forum would you like to elucidate? First, we have the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops who spoke today. They have called for national structured dialogue. Raila Odinga has called for national structured dialogue with the provision that those who were injured or those who lost lives be compensated. What do you make to the calls for national structured dialogue, Kasmuel?
These bodies are calling for national structured dialogues as who? I never saw the Council of Churches on the streets with us. I never saw Right Honorable Raila Odinga on the streets with us. So it is the thing which the older generation has consistently done, which is to hijack whatever young people are doing. And if this is anything to go by, everybody is talking about peace. I want to make a rather radical statement. We do not need peace in this country. We don't need peace right now. We've never needed peace for us to change this governance problem. Because we can have peace when there is corruption. We can have peace in the face of injustice.
So what are you calling for exactly?
We can have peace when our women are getting raped. What we are calling for is liberation. Because we cannot have peace until all of us are equal. Every other body is allowed to call for national dialogue, apart from the people who've actually lost their lives. The majority of the population has gone on the streets and said, listen, the country as it is currently not working for us. And everybody but the majority of the country is allowed to have an opinion. Whenever we are trying to exercise our democratic rights, everybody can have an opinion, but we're the ones who die.
In what forum would you like to elucidate what this liberation would look like? You can be on the streets, just across the year.
We absolutely can. And one of the president's most obnoxious and bitter advisors keeps on talking about academic jargon. And I will address the people who are clamoring for academic jargon. They talk about the logical framework and the theory of change. Let me focus on the theory of change.
Wait, before you get into the theory of change.
No, we'll get into it.
Let's hear from Mercy first.
Because,
in a minute.
Okay, fine.
When somebody calls you a clout chaser, right, because of your ambition in politics, right? Yeah. What do you respond to that person?
Absolutely, I'm a clout chaser. All of us are. The person who's calling me a clout chaser is using my name to get some relevance. The people who criticize, all of us are in the business of clout chasing. What our families is me looking for. It sounds like a harsh thing, but we're all in the business of courting attention. So if that's what it takes, if that's a label that it takes for me to be able to clearly communicate whatever it is, the message of one, the movement, and the things I believe in terms of principle, call me anything. A rose is still a rose, would still be a rose even if it were called a cabbage. Yeah.
2027. Yeah. Let's say it's July 30th, 2027.
Yeah.
Will I see a poster somewhere with Kasmuel's face?
That's not even a difficult question, because anybody who's been following me knows that I declared this in 2022. I'm like, I want to be the politicians I want to see, because we've just been electing a bunch of clowns. So I said that in 2022 that I would be in active politics in 2027.
Will you join a party?
Yeah, a party, I'm not certain, to be fair, because also I'm still trying to see what that looks like, because politics is totally different from whatever it is. But yeah, I'm going to be on the ballot in 2027.
What position? MCA, MP?
No. It has to be either in the legislative house or in the executive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which area?
Nairobi.
or Kenya.
Okay. A lot of people, I mean, even just 2 days ago, I was having a conversation with someone about politics, and they said that people go in there with good intentions, right? But then when they go in there, you can't be able to tell them from each other.
Absolutely.
Right? They end up, something definitely happens when they get in. How do you think you will navigate that space differently?
That's why we are changing the system. Yeah, I want to work in a system that actually works, and that's why we're actually pushing through with even Nane and whatnot, because if the systems should not be able to depend on the moral integrity of the individual holding the office. Like, if this is the show and this is how the microphone works, whether or not I am a good person, this is just how the microphone works. But if you're a good person going to work in a corrupt cabinet, that's why when people asked me, would you accept, people felt like I was angling for a CS job. I was like, I would never accept a CS job in this particular government because what the government stands for, I do not believe in. So,
when somebody calls you a clout chaser, right, because of your ambition in politics, right? What do you respond to that person?
Absolutely, I'm a clout chaser. All of us are. The person who's calling me a clout chaser is using my name to get some relevance. The people who criticize, all of us are in the business of clout chasing. What our families is me looking for. It sounds like a harsh thing, but we're all in the business of courting attention. So if that's what it takes, if that's a label that it takes for me to be able to clearly communicate whatever it is, the message of the movement and the things I believe in terms of principle, call me anything. A rose is still a rose, would still be a rose even if it were called a cabbage.
I like that. 18 minutes to 8 a.m. We are speaking with Kasmuel MCOure. And speaking of cloud chaser, I'm going to play you Karoon.
Let's go.
Wamemlinganisha na kumfananisha na tomboya. Wamezungumza, wamesema watu huyu ndiye tomboya wa sasa. Usidhanie wala usifikirie ni mwanasheria walibukwa mabuku katika chuo cha wanasheria. La hasha, utakuwa umekosea wewe. Ni mwanaharakati tu. Anavozungumza, anavofafanua, kuchambua na kupekua masuala ya uongozi katika taifa la Kenya. Alhamdulillahi wallahi billahi, huyu kijana ni kiongozi na si bora kiongozi. Sitakosea nikisema ni kiongozi bora. Huyu kijana ni nani? Alizaliwa wapi? Alifanya nini na kwa nini anawanda na kutandawa mitandoni? Kaskazini Kasmuel MCOure ndilo jina lake halisi. Huyu kijana shupavu, kijana mkakamavu na jasiri mwenye akili, kijana ambaye amewaingiza tumbo joto baadhi ya wanasiasa waliopo uongozini. Tarehe 15 mwezi wa 5 Mei 1991 katika tabaka la maskani ndiko alikozaliwa Kaskazini Kasmuel MCOure. Hiyo ni miaka takriban 33 iliyopita.